What's up, everybody? For those of you that don't know, I'll introduce the guest here. This is my dear friend, Matt Chandler, who is the founder of the Alchempist brand and creator of his brand new CBD gummies called Keep Calm and Carry On, and the facilitator of the Magic Mountain House, which the Clovis audience will be quite familiar with. So what's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here.
Of course, man. I'm excited to dig in. So what we'll do is we'll talk about a lot of different things that I really want to cover, questions that I want to ask you as well. And then I took questions directly from the Clovis tribe. So that'll be pretty cool. You can answer some questions directly. We'll do like a Q&A at the end. And obviously through us living together in the Magic Mountain House and what we've done with the Energy Collective podcast and everything, I've heard a bit about your story. But for the Clovis audience, I just want you to dig in to how this all happened for you, this magical plant that you're now a fan of, but that you were raised to think was quite evil. So let's just talk about
the devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce.
What's the title of the story?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Oklahoma, born and raised there, in a conservative household, and growing up, marijuana, cannabis, it was all really known as weed or marijuana at that time, was basically what they call the devil's lettuce. There's nothing good that came from it. It was only lazy people, hippies, people that didn't have their life in order were the ones who were using this plant. And so with all the anti-drug propaganda going on when we were growing up, it was basically like, if you do this, you're ruining your life. There's nothing good of it. And so I stayed pretty far away from the plant because that was nothing what I was trying to create inside of my life. And so I really stayed away from it all growing up, through college. I think I've had like a couple maybe drunk experiences where I tried it or whatever, but overall, stayed away from the plant. And when I was 26 is when I first started using the plant. At the time, my ex-partner was having trouble sleeping and was on Ambien. And she was like, we had a Macy, my daughter, who was, I think, 2 or 3 at the time. And she was like, I can't really get up to take care of him because the Ambien has me completely straight out, and just like I'm a zombie. And so I need to figure out something else that's going to help me sleep because I need to figure out something because Ambien, we can't keep doing this. And she mentioned that marijuana helped her back in college a little bit for sleeping and stuff. And so I was like, okay, let's try it, which was kind of risky at the time because it's completely illegal.
Yeah.
In fact, not only was it illegal, but in Oklahoma, it's probably one of the strictest states for drugs and especially marijuana. It's funny, in 2016, I read that it was like the #1 most incarcerated state for marijuana offenses.
Whoa.
It's crazy, I know. And it was 2 years for a first offense of possession. So not even just selling, but possession of marijuana, thinking of walking down the street with a little weed on you, or get caught with it. And yeah, so it was, pretty heavily frowned upon, but overall, we wanted to try something. So we tried that and it started working for it really well. And so slowly but surely, as me and Courtney would sit on the porch at night, I basically just decided to try it. And it was a little overwhelming at first, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, have you used cannabis before?
A couple times. Yeah. It was interesting because what you're talking about, I grew up, how old are you again?
33.
33. I'm 34. So in the 90s, it was DARE.
Yeah,
there was all the DARE programs, and then all the cheesy commercials this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah, they crack the egg.
Yeah. But what's crazy is I think a lot of parents don't realize that it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy because my parents probably don't even know this, so this is amazing to put on the podcast. But I started smoking weed when I was 13. Oh. And 13, 14 years old, I think 14, I was a freshman in college. I think that's the age. And I was smoking weed twice a day, before school, after school. And I just walk home with my friends, get high, and eat Burger King. And I really became a lazy, loser stoner for a couple years. I'm I'm glad I snapped out of it. Sure. But it's almost like you just fall into that role because you're told that's what happens when you smoke it.
Yeah. So you kind of start to assume that, and you're under that basic programming, basically.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it more, but there are definitely precautions with this plant or ways to use it, and everyone's vastly different. So I wouldn't suggest teenagers and everyone needs to jump on cannabis at all. I think there's certain ways to approach it and to look at it, but definitely it could be used in an abusive way as well.
Sure Yeah, so with you, it's that first time it's really interesting. I think I liked being high when I was younger, and now as an adult, I really don't prefer it. If I'm high on straight THC, I feel quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you said it was overwhelming for you, but it sounds like that shifted at some point.
It did shift a little bit. I think from just usage of the plant, you start to get a little bit more familiar with it and stuff like that as well. Right now, I'm along with you. As I've gotten older, I really don't like getting super high. I do less THC, more of like a microdose of THC, to where it's not getting me in that head state, which I think there's like, like with mushrooms or anything else, that those people that hear about those mega doses, and they are experiences, just like if you, used a bunch of THC, you're going to take a journey.
Exactly.
You can maybe see some things and stuff like that. But I think the therapeutic window is a lot more in the microdoses of those kind of things. And so that's where I feel like is the biggest research and the studies that I've seen that where it helps most people is in that middle range, even though some people do really well on high THC. So it does depend on the person.
Yeah, I've seen this too. I didn't even really think about it like that because obviously like I've microdosed psilocybin and LSD. And then I've also, my podcast is very familiar. I've done, the most
some hero journeys.
The most heroic doses possible. But then it's interesting, like, because I saw that Megan had these. It's like these ones for sleep, but it's this specific ratio. I didn't even know they made it. It was like these candies where it's like mostly CBD with like a very small amount of THC. Yep. And I guess THC helps activate the CBD. Is that true?
In a way, yeah. The plant works together like synergistically. So both of those are cannabinoids, what they call them, inside of the cannabis plant. And along with those, as well as there's over 100 plus cannabinoids inside the plant and hundreds more terpenes and different plant compounds. And so I think all of them working together synergistically are what, kind of help each other rise and basically be more efficacious have a higher efficacy, but also kind of sustain it too. So where it's not like, I don't think we talked about this a little earlier, but with most pharmaceutical doses, and I think people are aware that they're usually isolate forms of plants, and so they work on a specific biochemical pathway, and after that kind of gets worn out, your therapeutic dose or window goes down, and you're either going to be taking more, they're up dosages of different medications, and or you'll have side effects where you've taken other medications for. So I feel like using that whole plant in nature, it's kind of built in to where it helps the therapeutic sustain for a longer period of time. And that's one of the reasons that's drawn me so much into plant medicine, I think, because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you were. I didn't even realize this, but this morning you were talking about it's Valium, right? Valium is like a
valerian root.
Valerian root.
Yeah, it's based on valerian root, an active compound in valerian root.
And so if you use that extract over and over and over, you then just require more and more and more.
To a point. I mean, I think most people like that have, and haven't taken Valium myself to know, but I think I maybe once, but I don't remember. But I don't know. I just know with most drugs that it's at least, sometimes the dosage has to increase for you to be able to find or feel the same effect. One thing with full plant medicine, I feel like it helps along with that journey. It kind of resensitizes the cell receptors inside your body so that the medicine keeps working at regular doses without having to go crazy high.
Yeah, I've heard this too, and this is in the real plant medicine realm, but I've heard this with like mushrooms, ayahuasca in general. The most experienced ayahuasca users that I know, as time goes on, they require less of the medicine to have the same like massive experience.
Wow.
Which is super interesting.
That's interesting. I didn't know that about ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there's something about like a holistic approach of like the entire root of the entire plant